So with Merab Dvalishvili rematching Peter Yan and Yuri Prohashka brutally knocking out Khalil Roundtree in the third round, I started thinking to myself that we live in an era where the talent in MMA is so high that the people in second place often get left behind in these kind of discussions. Now, what do I mean by that? We have people that are in the UFC that are in any other era. They could be like the GOAT of their weight class. They could be like, maybe they just have beaten everybody. Like, these are people that have cleared out their divisions. These are like, but they just can't beat the champion or can't beat one specific guy. And that is what this video is about today. Tony Has Died, will be giving you the top 10 second best fighters of all time in the UFC. If you like the video, like, subscribe, comment, do all that YouTube shit. And let's get straight into the video, all right? Starting with number 10 on my list, I got Anthony Rumble Johnson. Rumble Johnson, let me tell you this, bro. One of the most brutal knockout artists of all time. And what he did to Glover Teixeira could be considered manslaughter. I mean, the way he slumped Glover out cold. It's one of the best knockouts of all time. If you never, go watch this dude's highlight reels. He had the touch of death. He was putting everyone out. Gustafsson as well. But the reason I got to put him at number 10 on this list is because I think you know that Daniel Cormier, you've seen the thumbnail. Daniel Cormier is going to be on this list later, and he's the second best to the second best. But this is when Jones wasn't around, so he was the second best, okay? But he just could not beat DC. DC had this guy's number. He beat him every single time they fought each other. And, he gave DC some good fights, even knocking down DC with a punch that looked pretty effortless. But he just can't beat DC, so he's one of the greatest fighters, light heavyweight fighters ever, but he just could not touch the belt. So for that reason, I got to put Rumble at number 10 on the list. At number 9 on the list, look at this. Look at this fucking resume, bro. Goes on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight win streak in the UFC, in the WEC. Then he loses to Aldo. Then he goes on an even better win streak where he beat Nick Lentz, Clay Guida, Darren Elk. Chad Mendes cleared out the featherweight division, but he just could not beat Jose Aldo Jr. And that's, he went on and lost a little bit after to Conor McGregor. Pretty sure he lost to Ortega. He went on to lose after his prime, but during his prime, he literally cleared out the WEC and he cleared out the UFC. He just could not beat Jose Aldo. And I think that's why I got to have him on this list, is because he was such a good talent. He had crazy power in his hands. He had really good wrestling. And a lot of people actually thought when he was going to fight Conor that he could beat Conor with the wrestling, but Conor stuffed the takedowns and knocked him out or whatever. We all know the story. But the point I'm trying to make here is, in his prime, Chad Mendes, if it wasn't for Jose Aldo Jr., would have definitely been a champion. And Jose Aldo, he just stood in the way of Chad Mendes. So for that reason, I got to have Chad Mendes at number 9. A number 8 on the list, Shotty Man, Daddy Boxing. Yeah, anything is possible. Muhammad Ali, Shotty Man beat him one time. Daddy Boxing. I got Yoel Romero at number 8 on my list. Woo! Cleared out the middleweight division apart from Robert Whittaker, really. Because if you look at the Costa fight and you look at the Adesanya fight, there are arguments that those two fights should go to Yoel, and even the first Whittaker fight, you could say that could go to Yoel as well. But you can't really give the second Whittaker fight to Yoel. Or is it... Dude, I always get the decisions mixed up. One could have been a draw and one could have been a split and gone to Yoel. But they gave them both to Whittaker. I just get them mixed up, okay? But the point I'm trying to make here is, compared to Robert Whittaker, you just couldn't, he couldn't do anything, He literally just beat everybody in the division. Luke Rockhold, who was a champion at middleweight, Chris Weidman, who was a champion at middleweight. Machida, who was a champion at light heavyweight. Brunson, Tim Kennedy, even though that fight was controversial. Yoel went out there, and he wasn't just beating these guys. He was brutally knocking them out as well. The knee he landed on Tim Kennedy, I'm pretty sure. No, it was the knee he landed on Weidman. The follow-up shot he hit on Luke Rockhold, that shit was nasty. Like, brutal. Yoel, anything possible. Shouty man. Dirty boxing. All right, I got to have him at number 8. At number 7 on my list is someone who I just talked about, Yuri Prohashka, who has finished every single opponent he's fought. He has one decision, but he's finished everybody in the UFC. Former champion. He just cannot beat Alex Pereira because Alex Pereira's style is just too deadly for Yuri Prohashka. You know what I mean? I take my friends from great village and I show them I beat the entire division except for Pereira. I take great village. I come from... It was necessary. It was necessary. Okay? Who doesn't love Yuri Prohashka, bro? Like, this guy, not only one of the most entertaining, if not the most entertaining fighter of all time, but he also is just like a great human being, super stoic, slightly autistic person that we all love. He just can't beat Alex Pereira, and I feel so bad for him because he just talks like he can't beat Pereira, man. Like, you just keep your hands too low, you get hit too much. Pereira's got the death touch, but I honestly think he could beat Ankalaev as well. Like, I don't know who I'd have to really, really think about the Ankalaev fight if he was going to fight Ankalaev, but knocked out Jamal Hill in the 3rd round, knocked out Khalil Roundtree in the 3rd round, knocked out Rakic in the 2nd round, knocked out Teixeira he didn't knock him out, he submitted Teixeira in the 5th round in the craziest fight of all time. Dominic Reyes, dude, come on. And these are all like comeback wins, entertaining highlights. No one has a highlight tape like Yuri. Like, let's just be real. This dude's highlight tape's probably the best highlight tape of all time as well. You just cannot beat Alex Pereira, who has his number, who is one of the greatest fighters of all time, who's probably going to fight at heavyweight and try to become the GOAT of the sport. If he can be, look, let me just throw my interjection in. If the first person to become triple champ, whether that's Ilya, whether that's Chimaev, whether that's Pereira, whoever can become triple champ is the GOAT of the sport. We've never seen a triple champ, and that feat is unbelievable. To transcend weight classes with skill, I think we need to talk about that. But I'm getting off topic here. Yuri Prohashka. I take my friend from great village. I am going to show them and fuck them. Okay? At number 6 on my list, I got Joseph Benavidez. And it just sucks for Joseph Benavidez because this not only happened to him once, it happened to him twice with Demetrious Johnson and Dominic Cruz. Starts his career at bantamweight, and he beats Miguel Torres. He beats like Eddie Wineland. Well, actually, that was a pretty sure, was Wineland a flyweight at one point? No, that was a bantamweight. But beats Miguel Torres, beats Ronnie Yaya, beats all these really good people at bantamweight. Cannot beat Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz just beats him in WEC, whatever. Then the UFC buys out WEC, absorbs all their fighters and divisions. Benavidez is like, fuck it, I'm moving to flyweight, this new division, 125 pounds. Cannot beat Demetrious Johnson. Literally clears out the entire division for Minga, Dustin Ortiz, Cejudo. Beat Cejudo, beat Tim Elliott. Clears out the division. Cannot beat Demetrious Johnson. I just feel so bad. I feel like Benavidez is underrated, bro. Like, we talk about all-time greats. I don't think Benavidez's name gets brought up enough because what he did, like, I know he never held the belt, bro, but, like, you got to go against Prime Cruz, and Prime Demetrious Johnson. And honestly, the first fight with Demetrious Johnson, dude, it could have gone to Benavidez. Like, let's be real. I don't know if you've ever, like, go watch that fight if you've never seen it before. I'm gonna finish watching this video first. But, dude, the first fight with Demetrious Johnson was so close. It could have gone either way. And that just shows how good Joseph Benavidez was at one point. So that's why I got him at number 6 on my list. At number 5 on my list, does this not just piss you off? Look at this fucking record. Look at this resume. Does this not just piss you off, bro? Looking at it. Like, oh my God, this shit just pisses me off looking at it, bro. Because I know how good Dustin Poirier was. I know he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. Look at his resume, bro. Conor McGregor twice. Max Holloway twice. Justin Gaethje. Eddie Alvarez. Anthony Pettis. Michael Chandler. BSD. But anytime there was an undisputed belt on the line, he lost every single time, bro. Every single time. And it's crazy. So he fights Khabib, gets choked out by Khabib. But he wins the interim belt against Max Holloway. That's fine. He can win the interim belt. You know, Dustin Poirier floated in the top 5 of his division, the top 3 of his division, really. And he just could not get the fucking belt. Beats Conor McGregor twice. And what's crazy about the Conor McGregor wins is there was no champion at this point. They could have made this for an interim belt. I mean, not the interim, but the vacant belt. But they didn't. Dustin was arguably the greatest lightweight on the planet at this point in his career. Because they made Conor versus Dustin. Khabib vacated. I'm pretty sure they just kept him as champion, hoping he'd change his mind. He ends up fighting McGregor, and I think either Khabib just vacated and they wanted him to come back and were gonna give him the belt, wanted to give him the belt back. Whatever. They realize Khabib's gone. They're like, we'll do an interim belt. And then they give it to Charles and Chandler. And then Poirier fights Oliveira, and he drops Oliveira twice in that fight, and he still loses. Then he fights Chandler. Then he loses to Gaethje. Then he beats BSD. And then he fights Makhachev. And he loses to Makhachev. And then he rematches Max Holloway. It's for an undisputed BMF belt. And that's the thing about the Gaethje and the Holloway fight. They're for undisputed, but they're fake belts. But they're still for undisputed belts. And he still loses to him. Because they're for fucking undisputed belts. Because he has to be the second best in the division. Legitimately, this shit. Oh my God, it just frustrates me so much watching this shit. Come on, dude. Dude, I want to be the fucking champ, bro. You know, I'm champ in my heart, bro. I'm the BMF, bro. No, bro, come on, man. Poirier. Whatever, bro. Poirier, one of my favorite fighters of all time. It just bugs me, bro. It bugs me, bro. The next person we need to talk about is Colby. Greetings, nerds and virgins. America's champ is back with America's Pick of the Week, brought to you by the undisputed king of the sportsbook, MyBookie. Morty Fake Newsman! Look, man, look at this fucking resume for Colby. Loses to fucking Leon. Okay, look, let's not even talk about the Leon and Jorge shit, bro, because this is a wash version of Masvidal. Leon Edwards, he fought a wash. These two fights here are bullshit. Colby, just fuck off with these two in these 3 fights, bro. But here, let's talk about here, bro. This storyline right here, man. So close to being the champion. These fights with Usman are wars. And they're so close. He's so close. And he's the second best in the division. Cleared out the division. Robbie Lawler, RDA, Damian Maia, Tyron Woodley, Max Griffin, Barberina. You know, all great wins, bro. But he just is the second best to Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman just owns Colby Covington's bloodline. He just owns them. Literally just, you go into Kamaru Usman's house and you see Colby Covington sitting on the fucking edge of his bed. And Kamaru Usman's petting him and shit like that, bro. Colby, we can say what you will about Colby's resume and his wins have not aged well. And I don't even think he should be a ranked fighter at this stage in his career. But to say Colby Covington was never good, I see people being like, Colby was never good. Watch the Usman fights. You will know how good Colby was. If it was not for Kamaru Usman, this guy would be an all-time great. But unfortunately for Colby, Kamaru Usman did exist. And he beat him twice, broke his jaw in the first fight, beat him by decision in the second fight. That second fight was really close. I'm not going to say Colby won, but that second fight was close, okay? And so, for those reasons, I got Colby at number 4 on this list. Definitely one of the best fighters to never win the belt. Definitely one of the best, second best fighters of all time. The next person we need to talk about is Robert Whittaker, number 3 on my list. And, dude, this also just pisses me off, bro. Because honestly, low-key, the second Adesanya fight could have gone either way. So let's just move it. Let's move the timeline a little bit. Let's move it to here. Or here. Right here. There you go. This time frame right here. Prime Robert Whittaker was the champion, beat Yoel Romero. Pretty sure, like, this fight didn't count for a belt because Romero missed weight. It's kind of like the same as like the Oliveira versus Gaethje situation, where Oliveira missed weight, so it wasn't for a belt, but he was still Whittaker was still the champion defending his belt, even though it wasn't for a belt. But I don't think it technically counted as a title defense because Yoel missed weight. But whatever. But this time frame, Adesanya, the rivalry between Whittaker and Adesanya. Whittaker cleared out middleweight, bro. Look at this, bro. Look at this. Brad Tavares, Uriah Hall, Derek Brunson, Jacare Souza, Yoel Romero twice, Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, Kelvin Gastelum, and Marvin Vettori. He just could not beat Israel Adesanya. Hello? Robert Whittaker is one of the greatest fighters of all time. And he just could not beat Adesanya in his prime. And so for that reason, I have him at number 3 on my list. And yeah, man, these lists just frustrate me making it because these are all like fan favorite fighters, some of my favorite fighters of all time. And I just know how good they are, and they just cannot beat the number 1 guy at the top. So for those reasons, I got Robert Whittaker at number 3 on the list. The next person we need to talk about, the best is blessed, dude. The best is blessed. Look at this resume, man. Look at this timeline. I'm pretty sure there's like a 13-fight win streak for Max Holloway, where he beat Andre Fili. Good little win. Cub Swanson, that's decent. Oliveira. Now that was a weird, Oliveira entered the fight with like a pre-existing injury or some shit, but it's like a half win. Let's just say that, bro. I hope they can fight again. Stevens, good win. Lamas, this is where the point down started. Anthony Pettis, phenomenal win. Jose Aldo twice, all-time great wins. Brian Ortega. Ortega was undefeated before he fought Max Holloway, and Max Holloway was teaching him how to fucking punch in the fight. Now, he lost to Poirier. Don't get me wrong, but that was at lightweight. I'm not going to make an excuse and say it's I'm not one of these people that think that it didn't count because Max was a little out of shape. It definitely still counts for Poirier's resume. But it was at lightweight, so let's just say at featherweight. So we get rid of this fucking Poirier shit. Just don't look at the Poirier shit. Volkanovski comes along. And he just cannot beat Volkanovski. He's 0-3 to Volkanovski, and he cleared out the division outside of Volkanovski, beating Frankie Edgar, beating Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen, the Korean Zombie, flatlining Justin Gaethje, and he just can't beat fucking Volkanovski. It's one, honestly, if it wasn't for Volkanovski, Max Holloway would probably be the greatest fighter of all time. Because imagine if he had this resume, and he just didn't lose the Volkanovski, where he just beat, lost to Poirier, and then he keeps going, and he beats Frankie Edgar, Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, and then he beats the people again, he beats Ortega again because he earns the fucking rematch. He beats Yair again because he earns the rematch against Volk. Dude, if this was the case and Volk didn't exist, then Max Holloway would definitely be the greatest fighter of all time. 100%. His resume in and of itself is already one of the best resumes of all time. Just imagine he didn't have the Volk loss and his title reign was continuous, bro. So, yeah, for that reason, when he knocked out LeBron as well, When he knocked out LeBron James, just chills. Absolute cinema. But number one on my list, I got Daniel DC Cormier, who is like, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about when we talk about the rest of these people who didn't get the belts. I just like use DC as the example. Because when John Jones got suspended for all the DUI bullshit and hitting the pregnant lady with the car, Daniel Cormier was the champion. He beat Rumble Johnson for the belt. Beat Gustafsson. Beat Anderson Silva. Now, I don't really think that's good of a win. But Anderson Silva on 2 days' notice. It's a wash version of Silva. Whatever. It's a decent. It's still Anderson Silva, but it's not really, you know. Anthony Johnson again. And then Jones comes back. He gets head kicked by John Jones. But then John Jones pops for steroids. So it's like the rivalry between Jones and DC was so intense, and he just could not beat Jones, but he beat everybody else in the division. Frankie Edgar, Dan Henderson, Roy Nelson, Johnson, Silva, Gustafsson, Johnson again, Oezdemir, beat fucking Stipe, beat Derek Lewis. DC is like the second best fighter of all time. Maybe I could have put Max at number one, low-key should have put Max at number one instead of DC, but the list is already here. It's too late. But nah, man. Like, DC, definitely one of the greatest fighters of all time. He just couldn't beat John Jones, who is the greatest fighter we've ever seen. So there's no shame in losing to the steroid junkie cheat, but you're still the second best fighter, you know? Yeah, that's it just sucks for DC because people hated DC. Like, people used to boo DC. Like, this is something I kind of realized as an MMA fan. John Jones, and I'm guilty of this as well, so this isn't me calling out anyone. This is kind of just me recognizing my own flaw. I used to like John Jones. I used to be a fan of John Jones. And until he did all the shit with Tom Aspinall, where he ducked Aspinall and ruined heavyweight for like 3 years. But when I'm like, dude, John Jones is a terrible human being. Like, why was I even a fan of him in the first place? And it's because, like, dude, why do we value, like, I'm trying to think of the right words to say this. Like, we value John Jones' fighting ability more than his morals, but when he showed he showed cowardice against Tom Aspinall, and that's when we started to be like, bro, how are you pound for pound number one and you're ducking? And that's when people started to dislike him. Not when he did the hit and run on the pregnant lady. Not when he hit his own wife. But whenever he ducked Tom Aspinall and showed cowardice is when we started to dislike John Jones. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, that's kind of messed up of me to do that. Not just me, but everybody else too. But off subject there. But, dude, Daniel Cormier, he's one of the greatest fighters of all time. He just could not, he just got unlucky and had to face the greatest fighter of all time. So, yeah, that will do it for the video. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.